Hi, welcome to Thinking Green. I'm here today with what's kind of an almost annual event, I guess, talking to Madhu Gupta and Daneen Roth, respectively the Executive Director and the President of the Board of the Public Library of New London, which is one of my favorite local institutions. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Well, you keep doing new things every year, so we have to do updates, and that's good. Because it's been a while since you were on, maybe each of you can talk briefly about how you started to get involved with the library in New London. You've both been, part of it for quite a long time, but it wasn't always so.
Well, I'll start since I am kind of the senior office holder, if you want to call it that. I started, I think, back in the 1990s when a friend of mine who was on the board called me up and asked me if I'd be willing to serve, and she said, we really don't do that much, it's easy and so on and so forth. So I will forgive her for that.
That's what they all say.
Little white lie. But it was something I was interested in, and I was glad to be able to come on board. And at that time, there were a lot of people on the board who were very familiar names in New London. So it was instructive to me to sit and watch and listen. And eventually, a lot of those people either retired or passed away or decided they had other things that they wanted to do. And I found myself in the position of president of the board. So that's been where I have been with the library for probably the past 8 or 10 years, I can't remember. And it was kind of a roundabout way that I got there, but we are experiencing some of the same issues that many volunteer organizations do, in that there aren't a lot of folks coming forth to either serve on the board, and especially not to serve in official leadership capacity. So I am very glad to do the job, and I am very happy that we've been so successful, and I am very happy that one of the good things that we did was we hired Madhu.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, I still remember the day when Daneen was interviewing me for the position, and I was like, I don't know, I work here. I have the experience of knowing the community well, and I enjoy working at the Public Library of New London, but this June it will be 12 years in the Public Library of New London, and since 2018 I have been in this position.
And before that, you were doing a lot of community-related programming, weren't you?
I worked at the Groton Public Library for a couple of years, very part-time. I worked at the Shane Library at Connecticut College, very part-time again. That was just 2 days a week. But I did a lot of community events. I did an Indian cooking program. I did a fashion show when I was at the Public Library of New London at a local church. So I was doing a lot of community programs already, but with the library I received a lot of training, and I did so many programs at the library that gave me experience with how to run a program successfully.
And I think the first awareness I had of that kind of programming was being involved in nonprofit groups, and how the library kind of really made itself available to help the various nonprofit organizations in the region get connected.
Right. I mean, in New London, you see there are so many nonprofits, and we all work together, and we share resources, we share information, we help each other. And somewhere, being a nonprofit, our mission statements do overlap. We are pretty much doing the same thing. It's just good to share information and work with each other. And we also do a monthly nonprofit workshop series. So we do programs that are geared towards learning for the nonprofit community. It can be strategic management, or it could be your board boot camp, board member boot camp. It can be ABC of a nonprofit, how to be successful, how to manage your finances, legal aspects that you should know while you're running a nonprofit. So we do all of those workshops, and they're very well attended. So we cater to New London and area nonprofits also.
And where would New London really be without all of those nonprofits? You mentioned the volunteer issue, and
Right.
I actually think that New London is going to have to face the fact that in all areas, a lot of the pool of volunteers, we're all getting older, and a lot of the younger people with families and like multiple jobs really don't have the capability of stepping into that great an extent. I don't know what the future will hold, but I think it's something we need to start planning for.
Well, we are fortunate that we have several members of the board who are a younger generation than I am. Of course, almost every generation is younger than mine right now, unless we're talking about a nursing home or something. But we do have several folks whose children are older, almost grown, and who are becoming more involved as a result of that. And we understand that. We understand that parenting today is very, very busy, and the type of person that you want to have on the library board is somebody who is going to be busy.
True.
So we are trying the best we can with that. So sometimes it's worth it to have fewer members, but those that you have are more involved and more active, because generally the people who do the work are a very small handful of a board anyhow. Our board isn't that large. We have 12 members. And out of those 12 members, everybody is active at a particular time according to their particular talents and interests. So we're very fortunate that way.
And looking at some minutes, I noticed that one of the COVID things that has carried on is that board members can attend remotely at the meetings. That doesn't mean everything they do can be remote, because some of it has to be hands-on, but at least at meeting times, there's more flexibility.
Absolutely. Having the advantage of the Zoom meetings means that somebody who is just about getting out of work and maybe driving home can attend on their phone, listen to what's going on. We do have members who live out of state who were on the board until they re-retired and moved away. And they are particularly important to us because of the expertise and the experience they have and the advice they can give us. So there is that. But everybody has busy lives. So if they can be with us one way or another, that's great. If we can make a quorum and do it remotely, that's good, because we have to enact our business and get it done and put it in the record so that we can keep continuing to offer our services.
Yeah, the ever-expanding services. So we can start out by talking about what's new, what's happened in the last year or even in the last month that people might not know about.
Well, a lot of new things happen at the library all the time, as you may have
I
noticed.
know. We have time.
Well, I would love to talk about the Library of Things, which is our newest addition to our library, which is we are now, as the name says, Library of Things. You're checking out things which are things, So these are non-traditional items. Like you would check out a book, you would check out Library of Things, non-traditional materials. The list is big. It can be anything that's health related. It can be a game, a family game that you can enjoy. We have been careful in deciding what we would like to have in the group of library of items, because we looked at our community needs before putting items in there. So say you are having a party, a child has a birthday party, you can come and get a balloon pump from us, you can get a music box from us, and say you have a new hobby that you want to explore. There are so many different things. You can have a knitting kit, you can have a jewelry making. Actually, the jewelry making kit is the most popular item so far. We have a microscope, we have a telescope. So the list is large, and all the items are available on our website. If you go to plnl.org, you scroll down to Library of Things, and the list, we have about 47 items right now, and they are checked out frequently. Our patrons are, I see them standing there looking at the list. So that experience has been very fruitful, and we're enjoying talking to our patrons about the products and they come and tell us, well, next time you have funding for Library of Things, why don't you add this? So we're collecting a running list alongside. So
That must be fun,
It is
actually, to
fun.
figure out what people might need to use
Yes.
for a week.
Right, and sometimes you're surprised by what people come up with. The selfie stick is so popular. People are going on trips, and why buy a selfie stick when a phone selfie stick when you are at home? People, when they go on vacations or to trips, they tend to use them for a little bit and bring them back. So these are things that somebody who's only using it for a little bit can check out. Somebody who wants to try it before buying it can check out. Or say you do not have funding for it, you can come to the library and check it out like a book. So it serves several purposes, and as I said, if somebody has a hobby they want to explore, and the metal detector. I mean, who doesn't want to play with a metal detector?
Yeah, without necessarily purchasing a metal
Right.
detector.
Right.
Yeah, that's really a lot of fun, and I noticed that it's like in all different kinds of categories of things people can borrow. So what are the conditions? How long do people borrow them for, and is it still free?
So all items are free unless you lose it. There is a fine associated with the items, even though we are a fine-free library for books and other materials, but for hotspots and Library of Things, we have a small fine. The items are checked out for 7 days. Once you bring them back, they have to be with us for 24 hours, and you can check them out again, because we want to give everybody a chance to.
Sure.
And we don't put any holds on the items. But yes, you can check them out, enjoy, and bring them back. There's no cost associated with using them or checking them out.
And I do recommend that people go to your website and look at the whole list, because before this afternoon, I not only didn't I know that there was, there were a list of things that could be checked out, but it was a pretty interesting list.
It is a pretty interesting list. I mean, I stand there and I was like, wow, really, we added that? And for the ease of, if the item is bulky, for the ease of carrying, they're nicely packed in a bag with handles, so you can easily carry it, bring it back after use, and enjoy the item while it's with you.
Well, that sounds like a great idea. What else is new that people might not have learned about a year ago?
So
Maybe the toy library.
Yes.
Which is similar in many aspects to the Library of Things. You go in the children's room and there are toys arranged in a shelf, and they're all labeled as to what the toy is. It might be a Lego kit, or it might be some of the Melissa and Doug wooden toys. What are some of the other things?
The dog, the Spanish-speaking dog is the most popular.
Spanish-speaking dog is the most popular. So those things get checked out too and get brought back. It's another way of engaging our youngest patrons and having them get the idea that the library isn't just about books. It's about all kinds of different ways of learning and enjoying things, so that you can make your life more pleasant and more fun, and just a great way to kind of expand your horizons without spending money. It's all free.
And Daneen, you and I are old enough that we can kind of see how libraries have evolved since we were kids, and they were all about books, and famously you had to be quiet.
Yep.
And I noticed when my own kids were young, libraries were starting to have puzzles and toys, and at least in the kids' room you didn't have to be so very quiet, and it's just kind of expanded from there. The evolution of libraries over the last 60, 70 years has really been extraordinary.
It's been astonishing. I don't want to seem too much like a dinosaur, but I do see the meteor in the sky, and I figure I've got a little more time left. When I talk to younger people about why it's called research, I emphasize that you really had to do search. You had to do the search part. You had to physically go somewhere, and if this library didn't have it, you had to call around, and you had to sometimes just go somewhere to find a book, and it may or may not have been on the shelves. So I remember driving all over the state trying to find particular books for different courses that I was taking. So you don't have to do that so much anymore. A lot of stuff is available online, or you can do an online request and you can get things that way. And those beautiful solid oak repositories of cards, the card catalog, are now used in our library for seeds. That's our seed.
Seed library.
That's our seed library. You can come to the library and get seeds for vegetables or flowers for free.
Great adaptive reuse for the card catalog. You know, I remember when interlibrary loans were a new thing, and you didn't necessarily have to drive to different locations to get books, and that was probably about 40 years ago or so. I think my kids were young-ish when that happened.
Yeah, I think it was the 1970s and 80s, around in there.
But things have really changed tremendously. I also remember going to, you know, our little branch libraries that had quite limited collections, and going to the big public libraries or the local university library if I really needed to do research. It's so much easier now. So yeah, I want, well, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe we should talk a little, unless there's something else new that's just starting up you want to let people know about just kind of the, I don't want to say routine things, but the kinds of activities and events and programs that you've had, I would say all along, but for a while now, for adults and teens and for kids.
Rana, as we open at 9:30 a.m. All of these days, before opening, people are lined up outside our doors, waiting for the doors to open. And I'm just giving you an example of what a day looks like at the library, and I'll show you what happens. So when the doors open, adults go into the adult room to find their favorite computer, and they start working on their computers, applying for jobs. We have a digital navigator, and some people have appointments with her. So she's busy in the morning taking all those appointments, answering patron questions. Then people start coming in. Somebody wants a quick printout taken, and they go to the quick 15-minute computer, get a printout, and say somebody has to take a printed train ticket. Some people do that. Some people bring in their devices and they say, I need to print from my device. So we also do wireless printing now. And you can be off-site and send us documents. We can print it for you. So a lot of printing, a lot of checking your emails. There are some people who are older adults who come to the library to set up, say, their Facebook account. They want to connect with their grandchildren. And the adult room is busy. As soon as we open, it's busy. In the children's room, we again see parents, caregivers, grandparents coming in with little children. And Wednesdays and Fridays, we have the story time. Wednesdays is all ages story time. And on Fridays, we have baby story time. And we have school visits. This past week, we had all school visits. So we had a group of children with teachers and aides come in. And we gave them a tour of the library, and they are so excited to be in the teen room. That's our specialty. You know, everybody wants to grow up fast, right?
Well, up to a point, then we wish we could go backwards.
Yes, then it becomes backwards. Yes, true. But at that age, when they're children, they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. And you have to hear them talking. And then in the children's room, there's a table which is always set up for, say, the monthly specials, activity that are happening during that month or that week. So we have colors, we have coloring sheets, we have other activities, teen kits that you can work on yourself or with the help of somebody, with your caregiver or a parent or a sibling. And that happens in the morning. Then say 10:30 we start the story time. 10:30 to 11:30 is story time and talking to parents, children playing. And then some families will come. They go to the children's room to pick up toys, and you can take a toy and you can check it out, play in the children's room, bring it back, and then check out a toy to take home. So that happens all day. We also have on Saturdays, some Saturdays we have read aloud to a dog. We have Traveller, the New London police officer dog, and children read to the dog, and that's very popular.
Smartest
also.
dog in town by now.
That is true. This past Saturday we had a teddy bear sleepover, so children could bring their teddy bears, and the teddy bears do different activities in the library at night. We post pictures, and the children come back to pick their teddy bears next morning, and we show them what their teddy bear did. So we keep the children engaged, we keep families engaged. We also get a group of parents who come together as a group with children, and they play. And so the last room does not have any technology. That's basically free play. You play in that room. We keep technology out of there so that the screen time is reduced, and children learn through hands-on activities. They learn through sharing. So that room is busy.
As a retired preschool teacher, I really appreciate that. Under age 5, it's like they need the real world experiences.
We have a Lego table in there. We have a coloring table in there. You can sit down, color. There's paper. There's a lot of activities on that table available for them to play with. In the teen room, in the teen reading room, we'll have teens come in and look at books that are available. Right now, the area is going to be renovated. We'll be adding more shelving because we've run out of room. So we are excited that our books are being circulated more, and teens are engaged, and they are the book clubs are doing really well. They're very successful. And as soon as the teen room opens, about 2:30, we start seeing teens come in after school. We have activities like cooking, baking. We have workshops. We have college prep workshops. There's homework help available in the children's room. And we have staff members who can assist you with technology and questions. But there are so many activities that happen in the teen room. I do ask people to come and visit. If you have teenagers or you have preteens, come and visit our room. There is a slime activity tonight, and I know slime activity is the most fun activity for children and teens. We try to do it together, but today is teen night with slime activities, and they enjoy slime so much. In the past, we have done pizza making in that room, and you know how much teens enjoy baking, cooking, and especially pizza is a big pull.
And eating.
True.
Yeah, the bonus.
Yes.
As opposed to slime, which is a sensory thing, but you probably don't want to eat it.
Right. We have author events, and so when you come to the library, you'll see that everybody is doing something and is busy, and there's a free bookshelf. If you do not have a library card, you're more than welcome to pick a book, bring back the book, or keep the book. We also have a small free book case in the train station, our free library, and we fill it so that people who are on the train station or are traveling through the train can take a book from there or put a book there when they have read.
That's a great idea.
Right. So there are free resources, a lot of free resources available. Plus we do SNAP programs at our library. There are free programs tonight. We also have a home good swap. So you bring a box full, no more than one box of items, and you can swap it with anybody who comes in, whether you bring something or not, but there are things available that you can take home for home decoration. We've also done a plant swap last week, which was so popular. We had 42 people bring in plants and take new plants. So
really, it's in some ways kind of a community center.
It's a community
It
hub.
is the de facto community center. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm glad it's there because so often recreation is just seen as something that's athletics, which I'm not putting down, but it isn't everything, and it isn't for everyone. So it's nice to see some of these other things like
There's something for
household
everyone.
goods and boy, I should thought about that. I don't need to take anything, but there are things I wouldn't
a lot of people
mind
said that.
getting rid of.
Madhu didn't say how big that box of household goods should be. But one person should be able to carry it. So
Yeah, you want to get someone big and strong, maybe. Now, during school vacations, sometimes you have extra activities, right? I know there was recently a vacation. What kind of things did you have
So
available?
so every department plans something for school vacation week. So we have a different topic every day, and they come like children and teens come into their rooms, and we have a different program or activity planned for them. Someday it could be making cards, greeting cards for someone. It could be putting together like a flower vase with items given to you. So there's a different activity so that every day when children, and there are children who come there every day, so you're not going to be bored by doing the same activity. Right. You're going to be painting, we'll give you canvas, small canvas, and paint, or you'll paint something. There are STEAM kits. So last year we received a STEAM grant, so through the generosity of Community Foundation, we were able to provide STEAM program to children and teens. And those, when children participate in these STEAM programs, the conversation goes home, and they still have questions for their parents, and their parents come back and tell us, well, my child, made this yesterday, and there was a small car, and there were wheels that you had to attach, and then you had to pull the car and see if it functions, or put nuts and bolts in it. So it's a fun activity for children. But it starts a conversation. So you learn the growth and science. Thinking about science and math.
Now we're already into May, so I'm thinking you've already planned summer. Mm-hmm. So what's happening during the summer? I saw that there are summer reading programs.
Yes.
You could talk about that, or any other things that you have planned for when school lets out in about 5 weeks.
Right. So June 20th is when we are kicking off the summer reading event for all ages. So we will have programs for children, programs for teens, and also for adults. You can fill in online, or you can come to the library or give us a call and tell us how many books you read. You will be entered into a raffle every week. So we have prizes for all age groups. Adults will have their own prizes, children will have their own prizes, and teens have their own prizes to be won. The title for this year is Level Up at Your Library. So the kickoff will have a lot of games. There will be stations for family. So it's basically like a petting zoo, a tech petting zoo. You'll have games, and parents and children and families or individuals can all come and look at various technologies and games available. Teenagers and children are all about gaming. So D&D is so popular at our library, there will be coding, robotics, a lot of activities for all ages.
Wow.
Because you can win prizes.
Oh, prizes too.
Yes, incentive years. So it's reading with children, and not just children, I would say anybody, it's an incentive. You're reading so many books, you're going to be entered into a raffle. And or adults, you have raffles like there's a basket, barbecue basket or a gardening basket. So this is the perfect time to win all of this. And in the children's room, there are gift certificates. There's going to be ice cream, gift certificate to ice cream places, which is fun.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Now, in addition to all the programs and events and activities you have, in the last decade probably, you've gotten connected to a whole lot of other resources out of the library. And I think most people know about Canopy now, but maybe some don't. Mm-hmm. But there are different databases that the library participates in. So do you want to talk about how having the card can connect people to some of those resources?
Sure. We would like everyone, all of our residents, to have a library card, because with a library card, you have the access of all the resources that are available at the library. If you don't have a library card, you can still use the library. You cannot check out material. Otherwise, computers are free to use without library. But with a library card, you can check out books, DVDs. You can access all our databases, which includes Pronunciator, which is language learning database. There are over 100 languages available for you to learn at home or at the library using the library space, or you can use your library card at home to access the database. At the library, you can come and use the database, which is a candid database, which was previously known as Foundation Center, and you can look for grants. A lot of nonprofits come to the library to research grants available to them. So that is very popular, and again, based on that, as I said, we do run a monthly workshop about nonprofits, for nonprofits, learning about various aspects of how to run a nonprofit successfully or strategic planning for nonprofits. In the children's room, you can check out toys, and now you can check out Library of Things with your library card. You can access Ancestry.com. There are various resources on our website. When you go to our website, all you can do with your library card is available, and you can pick up resources. Without a library card, you can also access services like a digital navigator, notary service, and printing. All of that is available without a library card, but with the library card, the list is endless.
And with the library card, you can also get passes to local museums. You can do that through the online, the portal that we have. You can also take your library card and go to many area libraries and take things out of their library, as long as you have the New London library card. So there's just a lot of things that you can do with it, and it's a great thing to have. It's free. You just have to make sure it's up to date, that's all.
Which I had to do a few months ago. It's a small price to pay.
Right.
There really aren't any downsides to
No.
having a library card.
No, not at all, not at all. So, those are just a few of the things. And some of the programs that Madhu didn't mention that have been very popular are lawyers in libraries. There usually is a pretty good attendance for that. Lawyers come to the library and make themselves available in very short segments for you to ask questions and find out if the legal issue that you're thinking about can be resolved in some way or another, or what to do. So there is that. Do we still do the Joshua Hempstead?
We do.
Joshua Hempstead's diary, and the history of New London.
No.
Okay,
that
Sally's
was
not
Sally used to
doing
do
that anymore.
no.
So, but there are all kinds of resources about the history of New London in our local history room, history and genealogy. There are books there that are not available online or to Ancestry.com, so that you could research certain families that were influential in New London and get the real old type of research done there.
Well, we should actually do that. We found out about way after we had moved to this area that Bob is descended from some of the Rogerines who...
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, and having both parents who were born and lived their lives in Oregon, it was quite a shock.
Yes, that is.
To find out that there were some Whipples in the lineage who had moved from New England to Texas and then found their way to the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest. So who knew?
Right, now you know.
And one more thing that you could do with your library card is stream movies, which is so popular. We added that database to our collection during the pandemic because people were not coming to the library, and we wanted to provide that service because our DVDs were so popular then, and suddenly when people stopped coming to the library, we still wanted people to access movies. So you can stream a movie with your library card using the Canopy database on our website.
Yeah, and they have some really good movies that you can't find elsewhere very easily. Well, even books. I mean, we know the libraries are about books, but books aren't just books anymore. I mean, you have physical books.
You have ebooks.
You have ebooks. You have audiobooks, and then you have e-audiobooks, and it's just not just straightforward.
And now we have Tony's.
Oh,
So Tony's is it's for children, and it's a box, and there are figurines available, and then you put the figurine. This figurine will tell you a story or sing a song of that character.
oh my gosh! I never
Those are Tony
had heard
books.
of that. Well, that's really quite fun. But I think one thing that's really changed over the decades is that the libraries and the library systems are connected in a way that they really weren't. 50 plus years ago.
Right.
And the resources that are available to all of us are just incredible. And, I wanted to talk about, our library in New London is a private nonprofit, but it's still part of the public domain of the society. And it seems like every year it gets like a harder situation in this country, that there aren't any places that are really public, that aren't expected. You don't have any expectations except just living there, having the right to use the resources. And I'm thinking the libraries also in the past have played a big role in preserving knowledge, research, free access to information. And that's part of the reason I like having the library come every year, because I think its importance is increasing as the world around us gets more constricted in some ways.
Well, I have to say that even though we are a private entity, 85% of our funding comes from the City of New London. And we are very fortunate that the City Council and the Mayor have been committed to us to give us the funding we need to keep us open and to keep us vital and relevant to the citizens in our community, our greater community. So even though we are private, we have a very good partnership with the public part of the city. And that also makes a good synergy, because that way we can participate in some of the things in local government and listen to what's going on and find out how to access different folks who are influential, and we can share that information with our patrons too. So we are part of the kind of citizen activism group in New London, nonpartisan, of course. But again, the whole idea is that we will make information available to people because it's important for us to disseminate that information. There is a saying that started back in the early days of the internet. If you want to know the answer to a question, just Google it. If you want to know the right answer to the question, ask a librarian.
Right. It's one place you can get information that's curated much better than an internet search.
Right. It's sort of like your personal Snopes site.
And whenever you think about libraries, yes, you think about books, but the word that comes to everybody's mind when you say library is trust. People come to a trusted source of information, which is a library. I remember a couple of years ago, a gentleman came to our desk and he said he received a piece of mail and he said, "Can you tell me if it is legit?" So people trust the library and the staff, and so it's good to see that relationship that we have with our community.
And I'm glad to hear that there's a really good relationship with the City of New London, because it seems as though there had been years that the library did not seem to get as generously supported by the city. There was a little bit of a fight.
Yes, that would be back in the pre-mayor days, pre-strong mayor days. And that was the consequence of having a library board that understood the problems that the city was going through. Those were very lean times for the city. And then finally, it was after we had hired Suzanne Marieski, and she was comparing what the city contribution to our library was compared to other libraries. She kind of got us together, and we created a group that rallied and kind of lobbied City Council to get more funds, and we did get more funds. Mayor Finizio at that time gave us a very good increase, and ever since then, Mayor Passero has also been very enthusiastic about doing what he can to keep us going. He knows that the prices of things are going up, as everybody is aware, and our salaries are, compared to other salaries and libraries around, lower. So we are trying to make it possible for our employees to get a little raise and to try to keep them, because we often start out young librarians who then leave us after a couple of years and go somewhere else where they can get a little more money. We understand that, but we get tired of being the farm system for everybody. But
I sure get that. But sometimes that's how it is in the cities, though. Cities are very disadvantaged compared to suburbs in terms of available funding.
Right.
And it wasn't always the case. Cities were the center of wealth 60, 70,
Well,
100 years
when the
ago.
Public Library of New London was built, look at that building, that beautiful building that was gifted to the city by the Haven family. I mean, it's just incredible when you look at it and you think, what riches they must have accumulated to have been able to do that, to build that beautiful building.
True.
Of course, that was in the days before income tax too, but when you look at that, you think, you know, these were people who really respected and admired and held in high esteem learning and books and doing the kinds of things that you associate with a library.
Now, on a totally different subject, when I was looking at the website, I saw something called Palace Project. What is it?
So Palace Project it's a state library project, and so our ebooks is, through our funding, we put a certain amount of because we are a line consortium, so we are in consortium with a couple of libraries that share resources together. So we put a part of our funding, whatever is available to us after spending on regular books or print collection, whatever we want to put in, we put in for ebooks, which gives us access to those many ebooks. So our community is, there's a wait list on ebooks for, say there is one ebook and there are 15 people or maybe 400 people, depending on how popular the title and how easy
I can
people are to
imagine
read
with
it.
like new bestsellers,
Right.
it would be quite a long line.
So the Palace Project is through the state library where there are ebooks available for people to access. So that's more of ebooks. So through Palace Projects you can access ebooks.
Well, that sounds like it would come in quite handy.
It does.
I had
with,
not
with
heard
a budget
of that,
like us,
but
yes.
it seemed like it would be a good thing to have, especially to, you know, when there's a different
Right.
flow of need.
You can get access to many more titles.
And there are a couple other things that the library does that are not typical library things that you think of. So, you know, I want to mention people can use the meeting rooms and do use them a lot.
Yes.
If you want a notary, you can get that at the library. I don't know what I'm forgetting, but it seems like anything you need, the library might be a first stop to try.
Well, during COVID, we were also a place where people could come to get vaccinations. If you remember all of the rush that there was and all the waiting that there was for the first vaccinations for COVID, we were a site where people could come and get them.
Oh, wow, I had not remembered that. Well, so I wanted to ask you both to tell people how they can get involved, how can they be supportive, either, you know, what kind of volunteering is available, what kind of financial ways people can be supportive of the library. And
Well, of course, I'm the person who always has to ask for money. Naturally, we'll take donations of any kind. We will also take book donations. We are trying to build up our endowment fund, which is really relatively small compared to other local libraries. We did have a gala last year where we raised a good deal of money. We're trying to do that on a more regular basis, but it takes a lot of time and effort, and there are only so many dates that are available that we could get people together. So we will be doing that again in the future. One of the things that I would suggest to people is that if they are of the age where they have 401ks and they have to take required minimum distributions, one way you can reduce your tax burden is to take some of that required minimum distribution and give it directly to a nonprofit. So that helps us, and it helps the person who is giving because they get a little write-off on their taxes. And that's something you can do in your lifetime to see your money doing well. Of course, we also welcome any kinds of gifts or any kind of legacies that anybody wants to leave, either through their wills or through their attorneys when their estates are being decided. That's something that has to be thought of, and something that will actually pay a lot of benefits to a lot of people down through the years. We wouldn't have the Public Library of New London if that hadn't been done with the Haven family. So, you know, that's...
And that was back, what, in the 1890s?
1881 is when the
even
library
farther
was
back.
built, yes. The money was left a little earlier than that, but Henry Haven left the money for the building, and his daughter left the money for the first round of books that were bought. So that is one way that you can benefit an entire population now and in the future. You know, the population that they served back then was probably a little less diverse than the population we have now. But their vision for the future has benefited everyone. People that you wouldn't even imagine are now part of our community. So it's a wonderful way to pay it forward, for sure.
Now, is there still a Friends of the Library group?
There is no longer a Friends of the Library group as an official group, no. That group was very active for a long time, but with many volunteer organizations, the membership base was getting older, and you know, they were getting less able to do things, and it was getting to where their annual book sale and white elephant sale and bake sale that they would have at the library was giving diminishing returns for the amount of effort that went into it. And then the president of that organization, Josie Esposito, who had done it for years and raised thousands and thousands of dollars with it, she was trying to hand it off, and then unfortunately she died during COVID, actually. Not of COVID, but she died during that time. And as a result of that, that kind of took the wind out of the sails of a very diminished organization. So they have not been an official organization since then. And anyone who is interested in doing anything like that should let us know, and we'll gladly support them in anything they want to do. We still do a book sale, not to the same level and extent as was done then, because, as I said, there are diminishing returns for it. And on occasion, there are other things that we might do, little things that are available and so on. But generally it's free. Like during the winter, the knitting group has a hat tree or something like that, where there are things attached to them and so on. So there's plenty of opportunities if people are willing and have ideas. Just let us know. You know, we have a hard time getting folks to commit to the board, but these other things are things that might be useful for a short-term type of effort.
Now, in our last 4 minutes, because we got the 5-minute sign, we have a couple of slides that show some events that are coming up in the library very soon, this week and next week. And we can talk about them. I don't remember, let's see, which is tomorrow there's something. Pocket Vinyl is going to be performing. Oh yeah, we have the slide. Tomorrow afternoon for teens. And I don't know really what the rumored dolls are, but it looks adorable.
Yes, we will be making and learning about the Roma dolls on May 8th from 4 to 5 in the boardroom. And I'm very excited to see what happens over there, because I know a lot of our staff members are excited. We have received several registrations for it. And there is a teen program happening at 4 o'clock. The Pocket Vinyl will be performing live music for teens. But again, if you have preteens, you can definitely hop in and have some fun.
Okay, and then we have a couple.
We have a
other-
mental health awareness week, and then we are partnering with other local libraries to do a program, and that's, I believe, on your next screen.
Yeah.
Right. So the Be Mindful for May week, we have from May 12th to May 17th, and the Children for Mental Health Awareness Week. We'll be hosting crafts and activities, and as you see our table, the table that I told you, we have all the activities in there, and there will be programs, and these will be different programs throughout the week. So you will have, like you will see stress balls in the room, and you'll make stress balls, and you'll see kids roll up the ball and then throw it in the air, and we tell them don't throw it on each other. But it will be fun. It will all be fun.
And then I saw this other program about the Prudence Crandall School,
Right.
and that seemed to be a collaboration with some other
another
groups.
library. Yes, we're doing it with the Otis Library and the Prudence Crandall Museum. It's a Zoom program, and there will be an author talk, and there will be an illustrator, and there will be a nice discussion. So I request people to join us.
And I'll just remind people who might not know, there is a great website, for the library, plnl.org. But if you want to know about all the events coming up, they're posted on Facebook, and
They're
the
on
Facebook page seems very up to date with upcoming events.
Yes, we do have a Facebook page and even if you go on if you do not have social media presence on Facebook, you can go to the library website, PLNL, publiclibrarynewlondon.org, plnl.org, and you go on to events, and you can choose to view all the events of the library, or you can just pick and choose the teen or the children's events, and you can just view them.
That big interactive calendar.
Right, and those calendars are actually printed in the library, and these are for all different rooms. So if you have a teenager and you have another child who's younger, you can grab 2 of those for teens and children and take it home and have it on your refrigerator. People generally tell me they put it on their refrigerator and see what's going on for both the children, or if you are an adult and you want to be using our services or programs, which can be author talks or different games that the adult room, or painting programs, and we have different hobby books related to hobbies or anything that you are interested in. Please do take our calendar, look at our event keeper, or talk to our staff member, or follow us on social media.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Madhu, and thank you, Daneen, for coming back again and updating us. And it actually sounds like it's a great year ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, Rana, and thank you
Thank
for the
you,
opportunity.
Thank you. I love hearing about it. And next week we have Myrna Martinez coming on to talk about the Southeastern Connecticut Community Land Trust and what it's up to these days. So we'll see you next week, and thank you again for coming to Groton.
Thank you as
so much.
always, Rana.
When the rain don't